Thank you. You'll see on the program that I have 20 minutes. I wouldn't dare try to talk to you for 20 minutes. I know that many of you are concerned about flights and other issues, so I'm going to just say a few things. It has been my pleasure to serve as chair of this conference, and I am delighted with your presence. I'm heartened by what we've been able to learn and do during these past few days. So I'm going to give you my brief prepared remarks, starting by thanking Aleph and everything that they stand for, everything that they do to make this an incredible, not just a summit, but what they do on an ongoing basis to change our justice system. So over the past 2 days, we have heard from judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, probation and pretrial officials. We've heard from policymakers, academics, advocates, and concerned citizens, as well as returning citizens. In talking about the criminal justice system, we've heard it variously described as broken, biased, dysfunctional, dehumanizing, and soulless. We've heard that we are locking up too many people for far too long a time. This was a sentiment that was echoed by Justice Anthony Kennedy of the U.S. Supreme Court. We heard that by locking up people, we're not making our communities safer. We need to do something else. We've also learned about the overwhelming role that mental health plays in the burgeoning jail and prison populations. We've heard that the role that artificial intelligence and data analytics can play is critical and helpful, but it doesn't solve all of our problems. We must embrace and further the role of mercy and dignity in the criminal justice system, as we heard from this afternoon's panel. And we must help lawyers, prosecutors, judges, and courts, and all of the justice stakeholders do their jobs better. That's going to require additional tools, but it's also going to require a greater commitment. I want to also raise, as we've heard today expressed in many terms, the term of otherness. There's always an other somewhere in the system, and we've got to make sure that we don't devalue that otherness, that we in turn that we value difference. Difference is important, and it's not necessarily qualitative, because you're different doesn't mean that you're better than me, but it just means that we're different. And to you, I'm also different. So let us value difference and not penalize otherness. I think that in looking at that difference and that otherness, when we understand that and properly contextualize it, we can go a long way in trying to improve communities from a perspective of safety and from inclusion. I believe that we need to address in an earnest way some of those differences of race, differences of ethnicity, of socioeconomic status. And I think in addressing and embracing that difference and learning about it openly and honestly, we can in fact make communities safer. I would ask all of us to be mindful that none of us can do everything, but every one of us can do something. And that thing that we can do, we must do. And we can do it better if we work collaboratively with organizations, and Aleph is obviously one of those, that is engaged day in and day out in the business of improving our justice system. We've received a lot of information. We've been inspired, we've been encouraged, and we've been challenged. We've been challenged to use our power and to stay focused on our mission. Commissioner Ellis told us that the art of policymaking is the art of storytelling. Aleph has brought us a lot of stories this afternoon, and we've heard them told with passion, with concern, with commitment, and with heart. We can take those stories and elevate the voices of those people because we are challenged day in and day out to give voice to those who otherwise have no voice. maybe they can't tell their story, then we have to pick it up and tell their story. This summit has produced a framework for us that will enable us to better tell their stories. And I know that the hour is late, and it's probably time for us to go. But we have entered here to get information, and we will depart here to serve and make this justice system better. And I want to share with you a small poem that I want you to use as a template for making it better. It is called, for my purposes, and it is not original to me, it is modified, but I have altered this to suit my purposes. It's called The Garden of Life, but I'm going to call it a different garden. I'm from the country. I and my family made their living tilling the soil, and so I guess I'm always earthbound. And so I think about growing things, and this justice system is a growing and evolving thing. So I want each of you this afternoon to make a commitment to yourself that you will plant this garden. Judge Crenshaw, I want people to start, first of all, by planting 6 rows, Rabbi, of peas. The P of presence. And that just doesn't mean being in this room, but it means present in all of your fullness. It means having a presence and making sure that others with whom you come in contact are also present. See them. Remove the cloak of invisibility. Next, plant a row of personhood. For the people that we interact with, they're not just the inmate, the defendant, the incarcerated, but they are people in the fullness of God and in the fullness of us. Acknowledge that personhood. And then plant the P of preparation. Be fully prepared. Study. Think outside of the box. Come to this work rested. Come to this work encouraged. Come to this work excited and courageous so that you can better do the job that is yours to do. Self-monitor, because that's a part of also preparation. Plant the P of perseverance. Be in this work for the long haul, because change is not going to come overnight, but you must stick to it until the end, until that change comes. Next, plant the P of possibility. Recognize that in every person there is possibility. None of us want to be judged by the worst mistake that we've ever made. And we should not judge people by the worst mistake they've ever made. And finally, embrace and plant the P of power. We have it. Acknowledge it and use it. Next, plant 3 rows of squash. Squash antiquated policies and procedures that are antithetical to justice. Squash indifference and apathy. And squash implicit and explicit bias and discriminatory actions that adversely impact the cause of justice. And then plant 5 rows of lettuce. Let us be faithful to the tenets of justice. Let us be unselfish and inclusive. Let us be true to our obligations. Let us be true to the rules and regulations. And let us commit ourselves to equal justice for all people. No garden would be complete without turnips. Turn up for trainings like you've done and stay till the end. Turn up with energy and enthusiasm and a commitment to consider the needs of the defendants, the victims, and the community from which they come. Turn up with new ideas and new possibilities. Turn up with a determination to create a justice system that delivers justice for all persons and does not create a hierarchy of life value. When tomorrow comes, you should be able to say to yourself, this is a new day. This day is a gift from God. This day is filled with promise of opportunity, and today I will do great things because I am great. And I will work to discover the greatness and humanity of those caught up in the pain, crisis, and the criminal justice system. And I will do it not because of who I am, but because of how I've been given the opportunity to serve. Thank you for your commitment to rewriting the sentence, and thank you for accepting me as your chair.